since Tahoe Symphony was together. And last weekend, Valentine's weekend, which is why we are continuing our theme of red. We think it's very appropriate to begin the series for music lovers, by music lovers, on Valentine's. So thank you for being here. And if you would like to take home a souvenir from today, we have some suggestions. To start off your day, you can have your coffee in a Toccata mug that has the red violin on the back to celebrate our partnership with Elizabeth Pitcairn, who of course owns and plays the red violin with us twice a year. And then pop our new CD into your CD player. And this is music from Vivaldi. It has our chorus on it, doing the Vivaldi Gloria, Stuart singing an aria that he's doing today, and that's on this. And then at the end of the day, perhaps some wine in a Toccata wine glass. Many ways to help support Toccata. And that brings me to another point, that your donations are extremely helpful. This is a professional organization. All of our musicians are paid. We did not want to charge for these concerts because we know that during COVID, there are some people that have been hit hard and that they would not be able to attend. So we are opening it up for donations only. And if anyone would like to write a check, we will be happy to give you a letter that you can give your CPA. It's a tax-deductible donation to a nonprofit. And we would be very, very happy to accept any of your donations. Whoa. Hopefully I won't break it. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. That was the great fanfare, of course, and you're probably thinking right now, if you've been with us any time in the past 12 years, where's the trumpet? The trumpet is still with us, but he has a wife that is COVID compromised. She has respiratory issues, and he can't take a chance. And so we gave his part to those two players, and they did an admirable job. Depending on what COVID gives us, we just try to adapt. We're very happy to be probably the only organization with players that are brave enough to play live music right now. It's not necessarily something that big organizations can really handle, but Toccata is big sometimes and small sometimes, and with an ensemble this size, everybody agreed to do it. Plus, we're really lucky that so many of our players are public school teachers. They got in line first to get the shots after the hospital folk. And Nancy and I, for some reason, even though we don't qualify age-wise, we got our shots too. So we just got lucky. Anyway, so this is the next piece that we're going to do is a concerto grosso. Now we all know concerto. I mean, we're going to have one player up here, and this player plays lots of notes, and those players play fewer notes. And that's something that we understand as concerto, and it's usually fast movement, slow movement with wonderful melody, and another fast movement, even flashier and fast notes. But in the Baroque period, nothing was really established that by rule you had to do it that way. And there were so many people that were composers that they were composing at that time rather freely. And they would hear pieces in the street, or they would hear pieces at their neighbor's home, because you could go to a neighbor and make music at their house, and he might have even written a piece that week, because many people were composers at that time too, amateur composers, but amateur in the nicest sense of the word, meaning that they were music lovers. And so, since music was so much more important to each family in those days, nowadays your iPhones are probably much more important to you than making music in your house, but in those days, that was the most important thing. And after dinner, you could make music with your friends. So this next piece is 5 movements, and you'll find some movements that have the dance rhythm, because music was frequently written for dancing. Bach writes his great suites, and they are bourrée and gigue, the types of things that were dances at the time. And this piece starts with a slow, fast overture type thing, but you're going to hear many movements. And I said this is concerto grosso. Corelli wrote many concerti grossi. You have 3 solo players today. Here is a principal violin, here is another solo violin, and here is a solo cello. And the rest of the ensemble is the ripieno or the tutti. And sometimes they all play together, and then sometimes just this small group plays together. And they are accompanied by what is called the continuo. And the continuo is a keyboard instrument back there, and he is also a part of the continuo. So he hogs several positions in this band. And then there is a string bass player way in the back, and then there is a bassoon. And that is the bass line continuo that play the essential bass line, and everybody else harmonizes to that. Enjoy Corelli's Concerto Grosso, Christmas Concerto. Why do we call it that? Well, just because it was premiered on Christmas Day when Corelli wrote it so long ago. And it's something that we do almost every Christmas because everybody loves this piece so much. So Valentine's Concerto Grosso, if you will. Enjoy. order of the program as it appears in your programs, if you're looking at those. The person who plays the next piece is going to play something that you don't often hear in concert. It is a concert instrument played in Europe a lot, but not terribly popular in the United States, and it's certainly not with chamber orchestra. But you do hear it in metropolitan areas, in ensembles that are dedicated to early music. John plays the biggest instrument in the band, that's the string bass, and he also plays what is going to be the smallest instrument today, a recorder. We don't play recorder concerti very often, but John found this one, and we hadn't played together in so long, everybody wanted to play a concerto. So today you're going to hear 3 concertos, but just the first movement of them, because we can only divvy up the wealth so much. John, tell them what you're going to do today.
If you took a college music history course, you probably heard of a guy named Giovanni Sammartini at some point, who is a now obscure composer. At the time, he was kind of a big deal in moving from the Baroque era into the classical era, but he's now largely been forgotten. This, however, is written by his even more obscure brother who lived in London, and was considered at the time to be the greatest vocal player. He also played flute, he also played recorders, and he also wrote this, which is a big deal for recorder players, but not a big deal for anybody else. Usually, we'll play alto recorders. This one will be the exact same at home.
The next piece we're going to play is by a composer you all know. Antonio Vivaldi wrote 550 concertos that we know of, probably many, many more, but a lot of music that was written so quickly hundreds of years ago was written, played, put on a shelf, probably thrown out with some trash or something like that. Lots and lots of music that was written, so we just don't know what treasures we don't get to know about. But Antonio Vivaldi wrote concertos for the beautiful instruments, such as the violin that you all love, and he also wrote concertos for the oboe that you also know and love. But he wrote at least one concerto for an instrument that you probably don't love all that much. It's not all that often that we give the continuo player a concerto. But as I said, we had been apart for 11 months and people were begging. And so I said, all right, you can't play the whole thing, but you can have a movement of this concerto obscure thing that he found. Chris, tell them what you're going to play today.
All right, so Antonio Vivaldi was a Venetian composer. I say Venetian because at that time, Italy was a fragmented set of city-states language. And he was a Catholic priest by trade, but thanks to asthmatic conditions, he did not regularly say Mass. Instead, he was in charge of an orphanage, which was also a music school. That's where he wrote the majority of his compositions. And so that led to one of his nicknames. He had red hair, go figure, red hair in Italy. So he was named Il Prete Rosso, the Red Priest. And he wrote a total of 37 concerti for the bassoon. He completed 37. He started 39. And this is one of 37. And that leads to, due to his volumetric output for the bassoon, he is known as the patron saint of bassoonists. It's okay if you don't get it. Bassoon's kind of a smart people instrument.
Shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom he delighted. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts.
No, Stuart's aria was not a part of a bassoon concerto. Actually, I thought I'd surprise you with that, since that movement of the bassoon concerto, wherever he found that piece, was something that ended so quickly. I thought we'd make a little theatrics. And why are we doing Messiah in February for Valentine's Day? Well, it's because all of you refused to come to our Messiah performances in December. And why did you refuse? Because we didn't give any Messiah performances in December. Unfortunately, we were all victims of what happened in Thanksgiving. Christmas kind of was not too good for so many people. So what we did, I thought, since Stuart usually does that piece 6 times in December, where we do it in South Lake, Gardnerville, Carson, Truckee, Reno, we decided to just give you a little taste of Messiah. And that's all we're going to do of Messiah. We thought we'd give Stuart an aria from each of the 3 major composers, Handel and J.S. Bach and Antonio Vivaldi. Also wrote some choral music, the Gloria, which is on a CD that we just produced during the pandemic, so most of you don't know about it. But the next piece that will end our first half is a true concerto, and we're going to do all 4 movements of it. This is by a composer that some of you, if not all of you, do know, George Philippe Telemann, wonderful composer, almost as prolific as Johann Sebastian Bach. Didn't write the great choral works, but he wrote many pieces for chamber music, for chamber ensembles, small ensemble, and he wrote many concertos for many combinations of instruments, some more interesting even than Bach did. And so this piece is a wonderful, wonderful piece, and you're going to hear some different kind of playing in this, because in Baroque performance practice, there are a number of wonderful performers that prefer purist sound. Now, this is with instruments that were made that were not quite we consider our modern violin with steel strings. These instruments were played with gut strings. The sound is very different, and especially you'll notice the decay after each note. It's very, very different. Some elitists, let's call them, that are purist in this Baroque performance practice, insist that everybody here get rid of their modern instrument and play like this instrument. Of course, we can't do that because we're a little bit more romantic, much too expensive, and it really takes time to get used to this kind of sound. But you're going to like it because it is different kind of sound. We don't do this very often, and so I think you're going to enjoy this piece. Josh, tell them what you're going to play.
With the Baroque music, is that most of the time the viola isn't really featured, is that we're more of a ripieno. It's almost like we were cast in this role. And then it's every so often, there's a number of unknown viola concertos, or they're either treated like student concertos that you would learn when you're first starting. And, I particularly find Baroque music interesting is because what the composers do is that they give you a canvas to work from, and then so as the artist is that yes, you're playing what they wrote, but also you're interjecting your own ornamentation into it, so that so that way it becomes a greater painting of the work, and between performances it could sound one way one day, and then the next day it could be completely different. It just depends on what you're inspired by or what you think of on the day. So that hopefully today's performance will be just as unique.
together, playing golf together, and we were successful. So Toccata started our endowment with Wells Fargo Advisors for $100,000. And that was exciting. It certainly wasn't something we thought would be possible, but when James and I founded Toccata, the last thing we wanted was for this to be our hobby until we retired. So now we are sure that Toccata is going to go on, and Tahoe Symphony will be around for many, many years to come. And that's wonderful news for all of us, music goers and music makers. And the other bit of good news is we are firming up our tour for the spring of 2022. We were supposed to go in 2021. Obviously, Europe is not the place to go traveling right now, nor do they want us. So we moved it and did a little tweaking to it, and this tour will be starting off landing in France, in Toulouse, and we'll be there for 3 days, and then we are moving on to a town on the Spanish Riviera that's located on the Mediterranean called Narbonne, and we will be doing a concert there. We'll be spending 3, perhaps 4 days there. We'll include a wine tasting boat trip on the Mediterranean, and then we're moving on to Barcelona. And that is a very magical city. James and I took our choir from Puerto Rico there about 25 years ago, and we saw the Sagrada Familia Cathedral being built, and now it's done. And our final concert will be in this magnificent structure that's built by Gaudi. And the architecture in this city is awe-inspiring. So if this is something you think you'd like to join us for, we take about 15 members of our orchestra, 20, 25 members of our chorus, and the rest is made up of boosters, donors that want to join us. Our first trip was to Italy. The second was to Vienna, Prague, and Salzburg. And 2 years ago, we went to Slovakia and Hungary, ending up in Budapest with 90 people. So this one, I think we're heading for 60, and we have 14 slots open. So if you are interested, please email us, and we will give you all of the details, the itinerary. The experience is wonderful. We have many people that have gone on all of the tours. We have a terrific guide who enjoys taking our group because he says there's no drama. Everybody just has fun. So please let us know if you would like to be part of that. Thank you.
For you is by a composer whose name you probably don't know, but he was a fine Baroque composer, Alessandro Marcello. We're going to play the piece that probably he's best known for, his Oboe Concerto. We're just going to play one movement of it, and it's a wonderful piece, a wonderful vehicle for oboe, and we're particularly proud that Rebecca wanted to play it. I told you that we finally produced Viva Vivaldi, a new CD. Some of you still listen to CDs, don't you? We record many things throughout the years, but that project was started almost in 2009, I think, and Rebecca's playing a piece with Joy Strauss singing a wonderful aria in Vivaldi Gloria. And here she is now playing with us this piece today. Rebecca, tell them what you're going to do.
Play this piece. Don't have any information for you, but hope you enjoy it.
Oboe players aren't a particularly talkative type of people. Now, bassoon players, go figure. I said Stuart would do three arias by three different composers. This one is Vivaldi, and he also recorded this piece with us when he was just a mere lad. I think in 2011. We've recorded the Gloria 2 or 3 times, and we picked and chose from the best of each cut that we could find. This one is also on the CD with Vivaldi Gloria that we just produced. And I do want to say that you guys get a lot of credit for being brave enough to come, because there are still a lot of people that are just too nervous to go to a live concert. And I don't want to be setting a bad example, but I just couldn't do Zoom music this whole past year. And most people, I mean, the Reno Phil and big groups that spent a lot of money doing things that you would get to watch on a TV or on a computer screen and think that that is music. And you must never be led astray to think that that is music, because it's not. And most of them have to do it, if they're going to be so picky safe, they just send you a recording, you play it in your house with a track, and then some magic happens and they mix it all together and you watch it, and it's just not music. So thank you for being brave enough to come and hear us. And we're doing this kind of to try to get things going again in a safe manner. But we think that this is safe now. Enough of us are getting vaccinated. You should get vaccinated, whether it's politically expedient or not. And because we need to get the people motivated to liking concerts, and especially liking live music again. Lord knows it's all they had in the Baroque period. And so we did 4 wonderful concerts. We're going to take a short break, and then we're coming back with the 16th year of our St. Matthew Passion. Now, we didn't get to do it last year, of course, because it just happened. It was the first thing that got canceled, and 32 concerts of ours in our 15th anniversary got canceled. So that was not really a wonderful year for us. And we were celebrating with the whole world Beethoven's 250th anniversary. So this year, in June, we'll celebrate Beethoven's 251st anniversary. What we do. Stuart, tell them what you're going to sing.
Well, many very popular composers of the time set the ordinary of the Mass for the Catholic Church. And in each, they pay tribute to the Holy Trinity, usually by having a section that is repeated 3 times. But in the Vivaldi Gloria, 3 movements are 3 prayers for forgiveness. And this is the 3rd prayer. This is the last one. Qui sedes ad dexteram Patris, he who sits, or you who sit at the right hand of God, miserere nobis, have mercy upon us. Sedes ad dexteram Patris, miserere nobis. Sedes ad dexteram Patris, miserere nobis. Miserere nobis. misa dextera patris miserere, miserere, miserere nobis, miserere, miserere, miserere nobis.
I doubt if any of you have ever been in this church before. We have done very few concerts here. We usually need more space, but this concert needs just this right amount of space, and we fit here perfectly. And we really are very thankful to Shepherd of the Mountains Church for inviting us to do the concert last Saturday. When the concert that we had planned for Incline Village fell through, and we'd already even announced it, they said, well, why don't you do it here? And so they invited us back, and now the audience is even double what we had from a week ago. So obviously, some of you are getting your shots. I told you most of our band has their shots, and the viola section, they're too young to get, but they've been having a lot of shots of tequila, and it keeps them happy. The next piece is a biggie for us. We did this piece once 10 years ago. It takes 9 soloists. I said that Concerto Grosso is something that features 1, 2, 3, or several soloists. This is a really big Concerto Grosso because it has 9 solo players. Now, they're not playing solo all the time. This is a tutti ripieno, so everybody plays together sometimes, but the contrast that you're going to hear is in 3 solo violins, ping, pang, pong, and 3 solo violas, ping, pang, pong, and 3 cellos, ping, pang, pong, back there. Now, they don't play solos all the time, but they play in sections. And these 3 will play 3 together, but they'll be playing very different notes. And so you're going to hear a harmony in 3 violins, a similar thing in 3 violas, and then a similar thing in 3 cellos. But you're also going to hear each one play a lick, and some of them get longer licks than others. The Margrave of Brandenburg, who commissioned this piece by Bach, commissioned 6 concertos for different groups of players. And this one, the Margrave, would have been an amateur musician, remember, a music lover, the best interpretation of that word. And he was probably a player in this ensemble, and he would have played probably one of the lesser parts. But we have 3 violins that will each play alone for a bar or 2 or 4, and that happens here, and that happens in the lower instruments also. So a lot of solos get bandied about, but more the color of the violin section in contrast to the viola section. It is in 3 movements, so that is kind of familiar to us. First movement is fast. The last movement is faster, and the slow movement, if you blink, you will miss it entirely because it's just 1 bar. So he didn't spend a lot of time writing something luscious that you would hear as a slow movement. I mean, imagine trying to get 9 people to have something slow. It would be a lot of different interpretation. So it's just basically 2 big movements with a bar in the middle that you might hear our harpsichord. Enjoy Brandenburg Concerto, number 3 in G major. The last piece on our program is the harbinger of what's to come in 6 weeks from now, when we hope more people have been vaccinated, more people are feeling comfortable coming to churches that might be open by then. Believe me, we had a very, very difficult time finding 4 venues for this concert. We found Sierra Bible Church in Truckee, and it was the only edifice in all of Truckee. Even basketball courts, no one would open. South Lake Tahoe, nothing open. Luckily, we almost had something in Incline, and then that fell through too. So we're very, very thankful for Shepherd of the Mountains Church for inviting us here, doing this. Pastor John made us very welcome, and this is a concert that fits here so perfectly. So lucky you that you made it. And this is a first for us, though last Saturday was a trial run. I'm not quite sure how it worked, but Wayne up there that I keep looking at has set this all up not as a recording studio, but as a live stream. And this concert, some of you might have been on our mailing list this morning when we sent out, this concert was live streamed at 3 o'clock to hundreds of people possibly. We don't know who tuned in, but it's going to be on their YouTube channel always now. So you could listen to our concert, albeit it's going to be listening to a screen and listening it with speakers and that kind of thing. But at least it was live music, and you can see it and watch it and know that this is something that we did together. And it was not something that they all took their homework home and played into a machine and did all that stuff. That is not anything. I just couldn't bring myself to do that, fortunately. And now we're the first to break out and do live music, and we want to thank you for being brave enough to be here with us. The next piece is perhaps the most beautiful baritone aria that J.S. Bach ever wrote. And it comes at a very, very quiet, albeit sad moment in the Passion according to St. Matthew, that we have been fortunate enough to do not only here for 15 years, last year with exception, but in 1985, when the world celebrated J.S. Bach's 300th birthday, I had the pleasure to have 300 performers, 200 singers, and 100 people combining 4 orchestras in the sort of the pioneer center of Puerto Rico, and we produced the entire 3.5-hour St. Matthew Passion in 2 chunks with a dinner break. So we've been doing that I've been doing it since 1985. It's just sort of my mission for Bach, because when he wrote the piece, it was way too big for anyone to ever conceive of doing, and it got put on a shelf and lost for 100 years. Mendelssohn found it, realized what it was, and said, oh boy, we got to make this available to the public. And so we have been doing it, all my forces, since 2006, when Toccata was born. And this is one of the more poignant arias that you'll hear. Stuart will tell you a little bit about where he is. And we will perform this on Palm Saturday, Palm Sunday, and Good Friday in some churches, and we're not quite sure where it's going to be yet because not everything is open. Stuart, tell them what you're going to do.
Well, Bach set the St. Matthew's Passion using the final part of the scripture of St. Matthew's Gospel, which cover the last week or so of Jesus' life. The events leading up to his betrayal, arrest, conviction, crucifixion, and finally the resurrection. And at this point is after the crucifixion, where a disciple named Joseph of Jesus came to Pilate and asked for the body that he could take it and give it fair burial. And the aria is more or less the setting of this small scene, and the recitative, I should say, is more the setting of the scene. The aria is kind of a reflection, a meditation on the motivations of this disciple. At evening hour of cooling rest was Adam's fall made manifest. At evening too they took the same God is evermore assured, for Jesus hath his cross endured. His body comes to rest. Ah, thou beloved, dost thou ask? Go and beseech thee Jesus' broken body. O holy thought, O precious heavenly token. Come, my heart, and make thee clean. Come, my heart, and make thee clean, that my Jesus I may bury, that my Jesus I may bury. Come, my heart, and make thee clean. Come, my heart, and make thee clean, that my Jesus I may bury, that my Jesus I may bury. Come, my heart, and make thee clean, that my Jesus I may bury. Come, my heart, and make thee clean, that my Jesus I may bury, that my Jesus I may bury. Enter, thou whom I adore, evermore, evermore here in sweetest rest to tarry. Enter, thou whom I adore, evermore here in sweetest rest to tarry, here in sweetest rest to tarry. World away, world away, let Jesus in. World away, let Jesus sin. Come, my heart, and make thee clean. Come, my heart, and make thee clean, that my Jesus I may bury, that my Jesus I may bury. Come, my heart, and make thee clean. Come, my heart, and make thee clean, that my Jesus I may bury, that my Jesus I may bury. Come, my heart, and make thee clean, that my Jesus I may bury. Come, my heart, and make thee clean, that my Jesus I may bury, that my Jesus I may bury.